Hello!
And welcome
to Nightmare Nation!
The paranormal podcast where we talk about haunted places around the world.
And scary things!
And the ghosts of said haunted places.
And demons that possess people!
Especially demons.
Yes.
Sometimes UFOs.
Sometimes satanic rituals.
Yep. Yep. If it's scary, we'd like to talk about it.
And we will give you all of the information that we find on the Google.
On the Google. And usually the Wikipedia.
And ghost shows.
Yeah. Usually ghost hunters and ghost adventures.
Yep, because those are two main ones that we like.
Sometimes we spend an inordinate amount of time talking about scary movies.
Because that's our favorite.
Because we love them.
They're so good.
They're so good.
Mm-hmm.
I watched The Grudge last night, but the new one from 2020.
Oh, how is it?
It's so dumb.
Oh, that's so upsetting.
You have to kind of expect it at this point.
Right.
It's like a remake of a Japanese movie from so long ago. And it was mostly just confusing because they had 3 separate timelines, but all 3 timelines were only a year apart from each other.
Oh, that's stupid.
And some of the characters existed in like all 3 of the timelines. So I'm like, where are we? Who are we looking at? Is this person dead yet or not? Like, who is anyone's name? I don't even know who these characters are. And Anders and I are literally like looking it up on Google as we're watching it. Like, wait, where are we now? Like, what year is it? I'm so confused. It was just... There was a few moments that get you with like the jump scares, but it was not all that good.
I love the first one. I have it on DVD.
I know you do.
I haven't watched it in a very long time. I remember watching The Grudge in high school.
Yeah.
Maybe middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was that early on or not.
I remember...
But it was like, I'm pretty sure I bought it at Hollywood Video.
Oh, man, that's a deep cut. The one by Burger King?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I never went there. We were a Blockbuster family. Sorry.
I see.
I remember seeing The Ring. I think that was the first, like, actual horror movie I ever saw as a human.
I actually watched that one.
I don't know. It's kind of artsy. Well, it's not. I take that back. It's not artsy. I wouldn't call it, like, super scary. It was really scary to me when I saw it for the first time in 4th grade.
Right.
And I slept on my parents' floor for, like, a month. I shit you not. I was so scared of that movie.
Maybe that's why you never wanted to watch scary movies, because you were horrified by The Ring.
I was scarred. Like, permanently, irrevocably scarred from watching that movie. And now we just went back and watched it a few weeks ago. And I'm like, this isn't that scary.
No. But, 4th grade self.
Yeah, when you're, like, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
Although we got Maddie who's wanting to watch It. The scary movies. No! I'm like, girl, if you want to, that's fine. I don't care. But don't come crawling into bed with us when you're scared shitless that a clown's going to come out from underneath your bed.
Well, especially because the clown from It goes after children.
Yeah.
It doesn't go it goes back for the adults in part 2, but, like, it picks on children. Yeah. Intentionally.
It's terrifying.
So I would not...
so much.
Yeah, it's so good, though.
I
love those movies.
It's a good movie, but
I'm trying to get through the book. It's just a freaking massive-ass book. It's so big.
All of his books are gigantic.
Gigantic.
I was trying to put 2 different words together.
It's okay.
It's fine. I just need to tell you this. Last night I had another hallucination dream.
Oh my god.
This time it was a white, giant spider mosquito-looking thing coming down on my face.
What?
I thought it was coming at me, and so I tried to bash it away.
Did you slap it in the face?
I did, and then I thought that I let it loose from where it was hanging, so then I freaked out and thought it was on my body, and I started going like this, freaking out, and then I just went back to bed.
Oh.
Yep.
So it's like one of those moments where it's not actually a dream.
I'm like awake.
You're like awake, but your brain is confused.
Yes.
So like you're not.
And like I actually see like something coming down.
Oh my god.
On top of me.
That's so terrifying.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So then you go back to bed and you remember it the next morning?
Yeah.
Huh.
Pretty much.
And Ben's like, "Why are you slapping me in the face?"
Pretty much.
Stop it. Okay.
All right, friends. Tonight, even though it's 11 o'clock in the morning.
On a Sunday. But it'll come out on a Tuesday night.
Yes.
At 8 p.m.
Exactly.
Central Time.
Yes. So tonight, we are taking you to the Exorcist house in St. Louis, Missouri.
And this one is so weird because there's a lot of locations involved.
So many locations, and it's so confusing and so many controversies that I just don't know what's true and what's fake.
Yeah, I feel like anytime it's sort of... We're not talking about things like actually rooted in history. We're talking about a lot of like paranormal things that some people don't even like think is real. So I get the record keeping is shoddy. And also everyone who was involved in this case was pretty tight-lipped about it. they didn't really like go back, like the priests who participated in the exorcism pretty much like declined to comment and kept it pretty secret. So that doesn't help either. But like there's literally like 14 different locations listed as to where these things happened, and what year is like unknown, and exactly what happened where and what happened at all is
and
like
who's doing what, and
every article says something different. So it's like, especially take everything with a grain of salt.
Yes. Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Have you seen The Exorcist?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I've seen both of them. I watched the old one.
Both of them?
There's a new one.
Is it a remake or a sequel?
I think it's a remake.
Oh.
I think.
Oh.
I'll have to double check that. But yeah, I watched the old one a little bit ago, maybe a couple years ago, and it's pretty scary for being an old movie. Mm-hmm. Like the ending of it is really weird, and I didn't particularly like it.
Yeah. I have a hard time with old horror movies that, like, people on, like, IMDb or whatever will be like, yeah, this movie stands the test of time and truly scary even today, and, like, go back and watch it, and, like, this is dumb. Not scary by today's standards.
No, not at all.
But at the time, it was pretty much a sensation. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, even if it's not necessarily, like, things that genuinely scare you, there's definitely some disturbing moments.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
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 Yeah, so that's a good segue, because I wrote down that, like, there was a number of people who, like, saw the movie and ended up, like, passing out in the theater and all this, like, super over-the-top reactions.
Seriously?
And people left this movie, like, it was such a craze, because it was, like, the first thing in that genre, like, at the time where movies were on the big screen. And there were actual reports of people going home and deciding that they were going to do their at-home exorcisms on, quote, possessed people. And some of them died. Because people, like, just got it in their heads that, like, oh my gosh, what if my cousin's possessed or something? And then they decide to do their own exorcism.
Well, what kind of exorcism are they doing to kill the... Do you going to talk about that?
No, I don't have any detail.
Oh. Like, are you just, like, stabbing the demons out of them?
I don't know.
Or,
I mean, I could see where if maybe you had them, like, restrained for several days without, like, food and water, they eventually just die.
Possibly.
But, like, calm down, people. It's a movie.
It's not... I can't say that it's not real. It is real, but...
Don't do DIY exorcisms.
Please don't.
You know when they say, like, don't try this at home? This qualifies.
Don't do it.
Especially don't try your own at-home exorcism.
Please, if you think that you have a demon possessing you, please go to a priest or a demonologist or someone who specializes in extracting said entities, because they know what they're doing and they know the proper ways to do it.
Yes.
So just do
In fact, they have to be certified to do it.
Yes, they do.
I was going to say, call up my favorite people, Ed and Lorraine Warren, but then they're both dead.
Yep.
So, too late. You missed it.
Yeah, you did.
Way to go.
Gosh.
But yeah, so the movie that all the hype was all about is actually based on a book, which I didn't realize. So it's based on a book with the same name, The Exorcist. And the book is loosely based on a story about a family and the house in Missouri. So it's like a book that's based on a story, and then the movie's based on the book. So you've got a couple different layers of, details changing. So it's not like the movie is an accurate representation of what actually happened.
But doesn't the book have, like, excerpts?
Excerpts?
Excerpts? Whatever that word is.
Yep, you got it.
From, like, the actual exorcism of, like, what the priests saw and what they experienced.
That's possible. I'm not sure.
I remember seeing something like that.
I'm not totally sure, but isn't the book about Linda, like, isn't the book about a girl? I know the movie is. Linda Blair is the girl, and she's 12.
I don't know.
You'll
figure it out.
Again, not really clear. Details, unsure for this story. Wow,
so many questions.
Okay, so the story, and this is, like, I think in general experts can kind of agree that the origin of this story is not in St. Louis, Missouri, where the famous Exorcist house is, but it starts in Maryland, actually. So the main character of the story was the one who was possessed and was exorcised. They gave him the name Roland Doe, which is not his real name. I'm assuming it's just a pseudonym to protect his identity. I know the priests were very concerned with making sure his identity was kept secret. So I did see an article somewhere that claimed they knew the actual name of the person, but in, like, every other thing I found on the entire internet said Roland Doe and said the name was unknown.
There was one article I read that said that his first name was Roland and his last name started with, like, an H, I think.
Oh,
I don't remember the full
See, the one that I said, or the one that I saw was a completely different name.
Oh.
So.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so we don't know.
All right.
So we're going to go with Roland Doe.
There we go.
Like Jane Doe or John Doe, but Roland.
Roland.
So he was born to German Lutheran parents in Maryland in 1935. So again, this is all before they moved to St. Louis. So they were living in Maryland, and he was reportedly an only child who spent a lot of time with his Aunt Harriet, who considered herself a spiritualist. So.
Oh, Harriet, you spiritualist.
Yes. So.
I want to be a spiritualist.
I can only assume it was kind of reported that he spent a lot of time with her because he was an only child, and I don't know if his parents were just busy or didn't care about him or what, but he basically hung out with her all the time.
Yep.
And I'm assuming she kind of introduced him to the whole idea of like contacting the other world. And
well, there were some articles I read too that they both used Ouija boards.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
Or at least he did. I don't know if she did. I didn't see that.
Oh, there were some articles I saw that they use Ouija boards together, so then that's why he knew how to use.
Oh, okay, that would make sense that they did it together, because what happened after that is his aunt died when he was 13, and then he reportedly tried to contact her spirit using a Ouija board.
Ouija board.
So that makes sense then. If they did it together, like before she passed away, then he knew how to use it. So he tried to contact her using the Ouija board, and that's when, of course, supernatural activity started happening. So again, this is in their home in Maryland, not St. Louis. So this included squeaking sounds, marching feet sounds, other unexplained noises, just general creaks and cracks. Something like that. Furniture moving around on its own, objects such as vases flying or levitating on their own, supposedly a picture of Jesus rattled on the wall by itself, and a container of holy water placed near Roland smashed to the ground.
Oh, good.
I don't know why they had holy water just on hand. Maybe they brought it home from church after they started noticing the scary things, but... So scratches would also appear on Roland's body, and, quote, bizarre activity seemed to follow him wherever he went. And by the time the Exorcist stuff started coming into play and they started considering an exorcism, 9 priests and 39 other witnesses signed church documents detailing the supernatural events.
Holy shit.
A lot of people.
That's so many people.
This reminds me of, what is it, the Enfield haunting? That had so much controversy. And, they had over, it was 30 witnesses.
That's so many people.
That's too many people.
Right.
It's not one family kind of conspiring amongst themselves and all agreeing on what the story is going to be. You have 39 people.
That's too many people to try and keep a true story together.
Right. That's a lot. And 9 different priests, which is also a lot. So... the family obviously is distraught. I couldn't find the name of his parents either. I'm assuming their identities were also just kept hidden. So I'm assuming, just when they say the family, I'm assuming it means his parents. So they then turned to Reverend Luther Miles Schultz, who had Roland examined by both doctors and psychiatrists, neither of whom could find anything wrong, anything that could explain the stuff that they were experiencing in the house. So after this, Reverend Schultz decided to have Roland stay in his house overnight so he could kind of observe and figure out what was going on. And Schultz reported that during the night he heard vibrating sounds from Roland's bed, scratching sounds on the wall, and a heavy armchair that Roland had sat in tipped over on its own. And then this one...
I think I read this part, and I was so confused by that whole sentence. I'm like, okay, are you even making a coherent sentence right now?
Well, so the best part at the end, so they said that there was a pallet of blankets that Roland had slept on, and I think
they slapped it in the face. It's like, what?
What are you so... It said it started moving around the room and then slapping people in the face.
Like, what?
I'm like, first of all, slapping people, that's implying that there's other people there.
Yes, not just the Reverend.
But you think it would just be Reverend Schultz if he's having him sleep over, at his house.
Right.
And how does a pallet of blankets slap you in the face?
And why do you have a pallet of blankets?
I don't know.
Why aren't they, in a basket?
Right,
do you just have them saran wrapped together on a pallet board? What are you... What?
Just move around as one blanket unit. Just to...
It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. And, why didn't they have him sleep in the bed? He wasn't sleeping in the bed.
No.
He was on the floor and, sleeping on pallets of blankets.
And I was confused with the chair thing, because it said that he was sitting in the chair and then it tipped, but then the blankets came in somehow. It was a very confusing sentence.
I was also trying to piecemeal my way through that sentence. I'm like, okay, let's try to break this down into logical chunks, because you're saying a lot of things right now.
I don't know what you mean.
And I'm just laughing really hard at the image of just, a cohesive pallet of blankets, leaping up off the ground to like bitch slap you in the face. Like that would like knock you over.
That's like a freaking cartoon.
I know, it's silly. So after the eventful sleepover, Schultz concluded that there was definitely evil at work in Roland and then requested the Lutheran rite of exorcism. So they ultimately ended up doing Catholic exorcisms as well, but they started with a Lutheran one, which I didn't realize that those were like separate things.
Right, I thought that all exorcisms were pretty similar. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know much about different religions. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say that now.
Yep.
So I don't know really what would be a difference between a Lutheran and Catholic.
I have no idea. Like, I didn't even know that there were like multiple versions of an exorcism.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense with all the different branches of Christianity, but it's just something I'd never like thought about, so I don't really know what that means.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they started performing the exorcisms, and during one of them, Roland was kind of like tied down and restrained. And he ended up breaking free from the restraints and broke a bed spring, basically ripped a bed spring out of the mattress that he had been tied down to, and attacked the Catholic priest who was performing the exorcism, who ended up needing stitches. So,
oh, shit.
Kind of a...
So violent.
Yeah. A failed attempt. Yep. That one didn't go well. So after this point, there had been multiple exorcisms. Again, don't know how many.
Yeah.
There was no consistent number.
No, there's just multiple of them everywhere.
And like in the house, I'm assuming? In Maryland?
Well, I think when it started off, they did one in Maryland because I have, so it was Father E. Albert Hughes. It was called in to perform an exorcism. I think this was in Maryland, but he stopped the rite when that's that one.
Yeah.
Then who did you say was?
I didn't. I just said a Catholic priest.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never mind. I wasn't sure because then in the articles and again, I'm trying to piece this across like 8 different articles that I read. What I understand is then it was after this particular one that the family decided to move to St. Louis. And at this point, Roland is 14, I think. So it's like a year after this started happening.
Because, I think they had one in Maryland because then what happened after that is, I don't know if you have this written down, but a few days later after the first exorcism, Roland had red scratches that appeared on his body, and one of the scratches formed into the words Louis. Mm-hmm. And so the family took that as a sign that they need to move to St. Louis to get more help for him.
Okay.
Because what's happening right now in Maryland isn't working.
Okay.
So they took that as a sign for them to move down there to have more exorcisms performed. And I think there was one article I read where he was in a college, I think.
St. Louis University?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that, where there were a couple exorcisms done, and then there were exorcisms done actually in the house in St. Louis.
Yeah, so I was not totally clear either, and like the reports say that like over 30 exorcisms happened in the course of several weeks after they moved to St. Louis. So like exactly when and where and how many, I'm not totally clear. Yeah. So no, that's interesting. I remember you saying that he had the scratches forming Louis, but I didn't read that anywhere. So that would make sense then, because I was like, that's so random. They're just like, let's just move to St. Louis.
Right, like,
okay,
what?
Sure, let's do that. Okay, so now we're in St. Louis. Roland is 14. So the actual exorcism house that is famous and known today is located at 8435 Roanoke Drive in the neighborhood of Belle Noire, which is just outside of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So not in town proper, but in the immediate suburbs. So there's a lot of articles that cite it as being home to the most famous exorcism in history, but the main exorcism, as I understand it, didn't happen in the house. It happened at a hospital.
Oh.
So I'll get there. So
many
very
places.
Confusing. But about the house itself. So I know there were some exorcisms in the house. I'm not sure how many though. Mm-hmm. So the house was built in 1942. It's actually like a pretty cute like brick home. It has like white shutters.
That's super nice.
It's super nice. It's like seems like it's in a nice neighborhood. Like nothing wrong with it or anything. And I think I think Roland's family is the first one to live in it. Either that or they moved in only a few years after it was built. Because I think it was like sometime in the late 1940s when they moved in. Okay. So the family moves there. It isn't long before, all the supernatural stuff starts happening again in the new house. So I have written down on March 9th of 1949, Priests reported arriving at the house to find Roland's bed shaking uncontrollably. Seems to be a theme.
Yep.
He likes that vibrating bed.
Probably get that checked out.
Yeah, maybe. It sounds suspicious. So one of the priests started reading scriptures, and Roland began screaming out in pain, and scrapes and welts started forming on his skin. Again, consistent with what they saw in Maryland.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the house, it's definitely him. So for 2 weeks, the priests continued to try to exorcise Roland, the majority of the exorcisms having been performed by Father William Bodern, who passed away in 1983 and never fully disclosed what he knew of the case. So a lot of this knowledge died with a lot of the priests. They're all in like their 80s now, so they're kind of passing away and taking all the knowledge of this case with them.
Right.
It just kills me.
Gosh.
So... Okay, so again, this is where it varies wildly. So some say that exorcisms never occurred in the house at all.
Yep.
But occurred in the Alexian Brothers Hospital in South St. Louis, Missouri, which doesn't actually exist today. It got razed to the ground at some point. I don't know why. It got torn down.
Oh.
At least one of them occurred at Georgetown University Hospital,
That's
which is
one.
in D.C., and not, I mean, so that's
What?
like, that
So
one to
another
me,
location just randomly in the story.
right.
Like,
so
what?
like, so I could see that, like, if they're in Maryland, like
right,
D.C.
if they went down to D.C., then to
Yeah.
go to St. Louis.
So I don't know if that one happened like before they moved to St. Louis and then they went to DC and then they went to St. Louis or what. And then there was something about like someone from St. Louis University or something like that who was being called to like work on the case. And so I don't know if there was an exorcism there, but someone from there was called into I don't know. Very confusing. So I don't know how all that fits into the timeline, but there's apparently like over 30 exorcisms that happen over the course of several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And after the final one, Roland and his family apparently just kind of went back to their normal lives, and nothing else is really known after that. It just like finally worked.
It's just done.
After 30 tries. It's just like, oh yep, we're good now.
Done.
And we're done.
Because I mean, I feel like with most exorcisms, obviously it takes a couple of them, but then you'll read stories where the demon leaves, but then either that same one comes back or they get attached with another one.
Yeah.
And like it's a reoccurring thing most of the time, I feel like.
Yeah. I guess I'm glad it was successful.
Right,
Like,
right, exactly.
You're one of the lucky few that actually gets to like move on and have a normal life.
Exactly.
And like no one really knows what ended up happening to Roland. If he's alive today, he'd be in his 80s.
Oh shit.
So I don't really know what happened to him. But so the house today, so the house at 8435 Roanoke Drive, according to Zillow, the house was purchased in 1999. I'm not sure who the owner was. That's as far back as the kind of like public record goes because there obviously wasn't internet in like 1940.
Right.
So I don't know who the owner was. An article from October of 2005 in the Riverfront Times lists Gary Stafford as the current owner. So I'm assuming he bought it in 2005. So he said he bought it as an investment property and didn't know anything about the house's reputation until he bought it.
Isn't that something you're supposed to disclose?
So, but that was back in 1940, and it was not a murder or a death. It was just an exorcism.
Okay.
So, and he made that same point is like, he bought the house out of bankruptcy. I'm assuming he wanted to like flip it and then turn it around and sell it. So it's like December of 2005 is when it got purchased again. So I guess it only took him like 6 months, which isn't that bad. But he never actually lived there, and he didn't like talking about the rumors associated with the house because he was convinced it would make it harder to sell.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he basically said, like, when people were interviewing him about it, he's like, no, it's nothing you have to disclose legally to anyone because there was no death. It was just something that may or may not have even happened in the house.
That makes sense.
And it's not even something people, like, believe in. Like, you don't, you apparently are not legally required to disclose paranormal encounters that happen on a property.
Oh.
And I think I remember talking about that when we talked about the Conjuring house.
I think so, yeah.
Because what's her face
that
was
lady
super
was
pissed.
so pissed.
I'm
just so mad.
We will never again. I just can't get over her voice. Her accent's so funny. But, like, you don't have to disclose that because it's not proven.
Right, exactly.
That that's a thing. It's, like, more religious and spiritual than anything else. So...
Huh.
Yeah. So the same article that talked about Gary Stafford being pissed that he had basically bought a possession house said the previous owner before that was a man named Elvis Fantroy who left the house in that June, so right before Gary bought it, and was not heard from again.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if he just, like, GTFO'd and was
Probably.
like, I'm done with this house. So theoretically, he's the one that bought it in 1999 then.
Okay.
Then Gary bought it. Then Gary sold it again. So it was sold again in December of that same year. So he apparently found a buyer. Then the house was foreclosed on and auctioned off in August of 2019.
What?
Not even a year ago.
We could have bought it.
We could have freaking bought.
God damn it.
And it was not listed for that expensive. I want to say it was like the last time it was bought, it was like $180,000. Yeah.
That's so cheap.
We could totally split that mortgage and live in the
haunted house. Oh, we could have done like EVPs.
There'd be so many EVPs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was looking, I'm like,
come on.
I'm like, oh, okay, the house was foreclosed in auction in August 2019. I'm like, wait, that was like not even a year ago. Like, what? That was like 8 months ago.
Man.
I know.
Damn it.
So, that's the house today.
Chance.
I'm sure it'll be a museum. Just like every other famous haunted house in the world.
If it sells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what did you sent me something about the house that they're letting you do like virtual the
Conjuring house.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't remember the day it is, but there's a website that you can go to where they're doing a live stream of the Conjuring house. You do have to pay for it. I think it's like $4.99 for a full day or like $20 for a full week.
$4.99. I will pay that in a heartbeat. Right. I spent more on that at Taco Bell this morning.
Yeah, so they're going to have a live stream of the Conjuring house. I don't know if there are going to be people there or what's going on, but
here's the details, and we can post this link on the Facebook page too. So, taking place on The Dark Zone, a website dedicated to all things creepy and paranormal, there will be a free preview of the house on May 8th. So,
okay, yep.
Okay, so then the house that is the inspiration behind the hit horror The Conjuring and the family who currently lives there will be live streamed for a week starting on Saturday, May 9th. So, that's next weekend.
Yes.
Let's watch it. Hey. I'm so excited.
That'll be sweet.
That's amazing. Right? I love it so much.
That's so cool.
So,
that's exciting.
Anyway.
Nice way to make money.
Oh, totally.
So, where to start? So yeah, a little bit like what Annie had talked about. So in the first house in Maryland is when the activity really started happening in the house and the family noticed it. They were hearing dripping, rapping, and scratching sounds without any knowledge of where the sounds were coming from. And then, like we had talked about, Roland and his aunt supposedly, maybe not, I don't know, used Ouija boards. Mm-hmm. And like you said, after she passed away, Roland decided to use the Ouija board to try and contact her. And that's when they thought that he opened up the portal to be possessed by the devil.
Yeah, okay, so he was, like, when you're possessed, that's by a demon, not a ghost.
Correct.
So that would not have been his aunt trying to possess him, because she would be the ghost of a human being.
Correct.
And he was possessed by a demon.
Yes.
Okay.
Typically possessions are by demons.
Yes. Yep. I have a really good idea. Let's get a Ouija board and use it to contact them and ask them if they used a Ouija board together.
But I want to know. You can do a Ouija board yourself. I will be nowhere near you or the Ouija board ever.
Well, since the devil is my best friend now, he'll protect me.
I mean, I suppose.
He'll keep me safe.
You have a contract with him.
I do. It's still valid last time I checked.
Don't use Ouija boards, people. Just don't do it.
Unless you want to get possessed.
Pretty much. So after he used the Ouija board to contact his aunt, that is when the intensity of the possession or haunting, whatever you want to call it, started. So they said that furniture started moving on its own, objects started levitating, scratches appeared on Roland's body, and all sorts of things just happened. Mm-hmm. So when they moved to St. Louis, this was one of the multiple stories of the exorcisms that happened. Mm-hmm. But there were two priests that helped with, they said, the second exorcism. So I'm assuming that this happened when they first got to St. Louis after the first one in Maryland, or were there multiple in Maryland?
That's what I'm not sure. The way it was written made it sound like they tried some Lutheran ones, and then they switched to the Catholic one, and then the Catholic one is the one that went sour, where he cut open the priest with a bed spring, and then they moved. So the way it was written in the article I read, and I forgot to mention my sources. So the way it was written in the article that I read made it sound like there was maybe a few attempts that were made in Maryland, but again, I'm not sure. And so I forgot to say my sources are riverfronttimes.com, Zillow, frightfind.com, and maps.roadtrippers.com.
Perfect. Yeah, so I mean, maybe it was the second one that happened in St. Louis, potentially, not like the second one overall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they had noted the type of behavior that Roland exhibited. He was very calm and normal during the day, but then at night he exhibited strange behavior, including screaming and wild outbursts. And I feel like you see that a lot with demon possessions, is that they're very kind-hearted, very nice, like normal during the day, and then nighttime comes and they just are fucking crazy.
Yeah. Are they trying to, like, make you think they're not possessed? Are they trying to, like, play along? Or
I think so. I think it depends on the type of demon. I think most of the time that they're very intelligent. And so because essentially they want to try and stay attached to you for as long as possible. And I'll talk a little bit about this during the Ghost Adventures episode, because they spoke with a demonologist, and I thought it was kind of cool.
Oh, sweet.
What they had talked about and stuff. But most of the time they want to try and stay attached to you as long as possible. That's why
that
they
makes sense.
resist any and all exorcisms. So then he was also in a trance-like state and started making sounds in a guttural voice. So that's like a very harsh-sounding throat, like picture like demon sounds.
Yep.
I had to look that up because I didn't know what it meant.
Expand your vocabulary.
I know.
Hooray!
Priest also saw mysterious flying objects, like you said, in Roland's presence, and he would also react violently when sacred items were around him. They also saw an X appear in scratches on his chest, as well as a pitchfork-shaped pattern of red lines that moved from the boy's thigh and snaked down towards his ankles.
Whoa.
So I'm assuming it's just like
3 lines.
3 claw marks going down his leg.
I was like, pitchfork-shaped lines. I didn't really think about what that meant. At first I was picturing like pitchfork, like stab marks, and then it was like dragged down. We've been watching so many horror movies. We just watched The Crazies. Did you ever see that movie?
No. I don't even know if I know about it.
Oh, I think is it Tubi? It's like a TV movie app where all the Paranormal Activity movies are, and I think it's available for free either on Amazon Prime or on Tubi as well.
Ooh, I can't remember that.
I think it was like 2008 or 2010, so it's kind of old, but it's pretty good, and there's a memorable scene with a pitchfork involved.
Do they wear masks?
No.
Is it like a crazy family, Hick family?
No, so it's kind of like I think it's small town Iowa, and something infects the drinking water, and everyone basically becomes crazy Hick murderer people. And they're going to like nuke the town because everyone is sick.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. But it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. But it just, thinking about pitchfork scratching marks brings me back to a kind of squirmy, memorable scene from that movie.
Delicious.
Yeah. Gross.
So when I was researching, I couldn't really find that many articles on what kind of paranormal activity people have experienced in the house. Because when I watched the Ghost Adventures episode, the current owners of the family, this was their 100th episode. I'm assuming it was back, obviously, in 2005 when whatever owner it was had it.
Gary Stafford?
Gary.
Yeah.
Didn't want to talk to them at all about what happened, the history or anything.
Okay. All right.
So
That makes it hard to film an episode.
Right. Exactly.
They won't talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think very many people have actually had a chance to go in and investigate, aside from like smaller local paranormal investigators. So
smaller scale operations.
Yeah. So I didn't find too many things. But the Ghost Adventures episode was actually pretty cool. So like we've talked about, the house is privately owned by a family. So not many investigations have happened there. But they had multiple interviews in like the first half of the episode. One, they talked to her great uncle or great grandpa was one of the priests that did one of the exorcisms. And so she knows about what happened, but she didn't want to really talk about it because she was scared of any repercussions, and she didn't want to actually go into the house or interview by the house because she knew what happened during it. So they actually met her like a couple blocks away by her car to do the interview. Like, she wanted absolutely nothing to do with the house.
That feels like a sketchy like sting operation.
Right?
Like, okay, you'll park a few blocks away. We'll meet you at your car.
Exactly.
Wow.
So when you have that intense of a reaction, then some shit probably went down.
Oh, hell yeah. Especially if, like, I'm related to someone who performed the exorcism. Like, that shit is real.
Yep.
I wouldn't want anything to do with it either.
No.
Like, nope, no demons coming after me.
Back away. So then during one of their other interviews, it was a local paranormal investigator who actually did investigate the house, and he experienced an attack up in the upstairs bedroom, which is Roland's room, where the exorcisms were said to have taken place. So he said that when he was first in there, started investigating, he felt heat just like on his face, and then it went all the way up into his forehead and like just throughout his whole head. He just felt really hot.
Ooh.
And then had an overwhelming sensation of fear in the room. And then a couple minutes later, he became disoriented and noticed on the side of his neck that white blisters started to form, and it formed into a cross.
Blisters?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yep. And they have, in the episode, they have a picture of the actual...
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh my god.
It looked very painful.
Yeah.
And he collects Ouija boards, I guess.
Stop.
Yep.
Dude.
I know. And
Dude.
I don't know. I think he may have brought it in with him when he investigated. But later on in the interview, and like in the episode, they bring that Ouija board into the room to try and provoke the spirits or whatever.
Of course.
But then he said later on that he stores his Ouija board underneath his bed in a little plastic container where all of his other Ouija boards are, which you're fucking stupid.
That's a terrible idea.
And he said that there are some nights when he wakes up and just sees a black figure in his room.
Dude.
And it's like, well, yeah, because things attach to certain objects, and so if you were in that house, I'm sure there's something attached to that Ouija board.
Yeah.
That's gonna come get you.
Well, and you're like leaving it in a random ass plastic box with your other Ouija boards that also have spiritual energy.
Yep.
It's like dumping all the bad things in the world in one pot and giving it a big stir, and then keeping it under your bed. Like, what are you doing?
Don't be dumb.
That's
Put
so
it in like
stupid.
a glass case or something.
And then sprinkle holy water on it, and then plaster the wall with pages from the Bible, and then bless the room by a priest.
Or, just don't have Ouija boards. Don't fucking collect Ouija boards.
I just mean, if you truly must collect Ouija boards, you are psychologically compelled to do so, and there's no other way, and you've tried therapy, and you've tried hobbies, and you've tried everything. Just don't be dumb about it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
anyway.
Then during another interview, they were outside. I don't remember who it was that they were interviewing at this point, but they were outside of the house, and all of a sudden they heard a loud crack come from the second floor window. So then they go running up, and of course it's the boys' room, and there was a large crack in the window. And because the owners weren't talking to the Ghost Adventures, they don't know if that crack was there beforehand or if it actually happened while they were just chilling there.
Yeah, but it sounded like cracking glass when they heard it. Okay.
Yep. I don't know.
Maybe the owners were trying to scare them away and they went up and like cracked it on purpose. Could have been.
Stupid people. So this is the part I feel like I missed a point in my life to become a demonologist.
It's not too late.
I find it so fascinating. I don't know. I'm just weird. All of that stuff. Like
it's not too late.
And demonologists and learning about that kind of stuff. I just think it's super cool. So during the interview, they ask the demonologist about like why do demons essentially why do some people attract demons versus others? And so the demonologist informed them that demons know that they have a sense of future. They know what people are going to be capable of. They know what their future is. So they try and prevent good things from happening. So if they know that someone is set to have like a bright future or change something within the world, then they're more susceptible to a demon possession because the demons want to try and stop all good things from happening, and they can essentially predict future and know what the future entails.
What a bunch of dicks.
Right?
I have never heard that. That's fascinating because it seems to be such a common thread with like all these cases of demonic possession. It always happens to like the sweetest, nicest, most innocent. Like I'm thinking of the story of the exorcism of Emily Rose, and I forget the girl that it's actually based on is German. Her name isn't Emily Rose, but they said the same thing. She's like sweet Christian girl. Like no one would ever suspect that like. It just seems like it always happens to really nice, sweet, good-hearted people.
Yep. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and you see it a lot too. It happened in the Amityville house and then also in this episode. So there was a priest that was supposed to come out with Zach and the crew. I don't know if it was just like get a sense of the house or to bless them or whatever, but in his travel to the house, he got severely sick and had severe stomach pains and had to go to the hospital, so he wasn't able to go. And that's what happened in the Amityville house, wasn't it, where what was it?
Was it the Lutz family tried to call and have a priest come?
They tried to have the priest come, but he wouldn't because he got extremely sick after being in the house. And I think he was supposed to come back to bless the house.
That sounds right.
I think.
That was so long ago.
I know.
That was like 6 months ago. How am I supposed to remember what we've already talked about in our own podcast?
So it's like you see that a lot with priests who are supposed to come and help, and they don't, and because demons, they know.
Because demons.
They are stopping them from coming.
Yep.
So they suspect that the demons knew that Roland was supposed to do great things and possessed him to try and stop him from good things happening.
Poor boy.
And they also talked about how demons can disintegrate your health and essentially, and like some possessions have turned into death.
Yeah.
Like it's that bad.
Yep.
So.
Yep. It's no bueno.
It's just so weird. So weird. So then during the investigation, they were there for about 2 hours, just kind of walking around, asking their standard questions, not really doing any provocation in there, and they felt nothing, heard nothing, saw nothing, or whatever. So then they decided that they needed to start doing something, being more proactive, and start with the provocations to get the spirits and entities to do something. So that's when they borrowed the Ouija board from the investigator.
No!
Then they were down in what they call the nerve center, where they have all their cameras and computers and stuff, and they were talking about it, whether or not that they should actually use it. And while they were talking about it, their thermal camera, which was up in the boys' room, just completely died.
No!
And when they had set it up, the battery was full, and it was fully charged, and it just died.
Them ghosts really love to mess with technology.
Right?
I'm gonna screw up your phone and your
Seriously,
camera.
assholes. So then it was Zach and Nick who went upstairs into the boys' room. I don't think they actually used the Ouija board. They just had it there as like an object for them to use. So then they had the Ouija board on the bed, and then they used the SB7 spirit box. Pretty sure we've talked about this before.
Is that the radio flipping thing?
Yeah, so it's a little box thing that you use that flips through radio frequencies extremely fast. And then it's a way for the spirits to come in and say certain phrases, words, whatever it may be. So it's just a way for them to be able to talk to you during it. So during their spirit box session, they started asking questions. And some of the things were freaking crazy. So Zach asked to identify the name of the man attacked in this room, which was the investigator.
Oh, yep.
And the spirit box comes back saying he needs help.
Well, that's not his name. That's not what we asked you now,
right?
Is it?
But then later on in the episode, they played this back to the paranormal investigator, and that's when he informed them of the black mass that he sees from the Ouija board, and so they think that whoever this was that was coming through said that he needs help, like because he's still being possessed or haunted, and that he needs to get rid of whatever it is.
This makes me so uncomfortable. Ugh.
Yeah, so creepy. And then they asked what happened in 1949, which was the date, I think, of one of the exorcisms.
So 1949 was when the priests started their like several week-long exorcism thing. Okay. Yeah, so it was, I want to say it was March. Did I say March 9th, 1949. Yep.
And then the spirit box comes back and says Ouija board and trouble.
Oh, and damn straight.
And the trouble was in like a very low demonic sound.
Trouble.
Like there were multiple demons coming through.
Trouble with a capital T.
Yep. And then this one, it still just gives me the chills whenever I hear it. I've watched this episode quite a few times. But they ask, what is your name? And it comes back saying Devil and Diablo.
Both?
Yes.
What?
But the two voices are completely different. Like the first one is like a devil, and the last one's Diablo.
No!
Like very like low and creepy.
The devil has a twin brother. No!
So it was weird.
That's quite creepy.
So then they bring in an electrical engineer named Bill.
Okay.
So Bill has a super fancy little contraption computer or something or another with a camera. So they use the Kinect camera, which is from the Xbox, that I think we've talked about this before, that when it sees a body, it makes you out into little dots and like you're like a little stick figure.
Yep.
In the picture.
Yeah, they do that in Paranormal Activity 3, I want to say. It's because like basically it casts a net of like these little dots of light, and then when you move in front of it, the light like move. What?
No, not that one.
What?
That's different.
Oh.
That one's different.
Never mind.
This one is actually using so the Xbox Kinect.
That's what they use in the movie too, so maybe they just didn't represent it correctly.
No, because I think the one that you're talking about is a lot of different lights on the background, and so when it actually moves in front,
you see the dots moving. Yeah, okay. In the movie they say it's the Xbox, so they probably just didn't represent it correctly in the movie.
I think so.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, so this one, it actually outlines your full body and can tell who you are, your person, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
So it shows that, and then it also reads like just like the environment, so barometric pressure, humidity, temperature, any like fluctuations within the environment.
Pretty smart for a game console,
right?
That's pretty cool.
So they use that, and so Nick and Zach were out of the room because this was after the spirit box, and then Aaron is the one who goes in and is standing behind the bed, and a couple times he's in there, he's provoking the spirits, and they see a change in the temperature and the humidity. Both of them move up when they're provoking it. And then as well as he felt a cold spot Aaron felt a cold spot right next to him. And then what was super weird is during his session, in the actual camera, his like stick figure body from the Kinect would flash in and out. And like he would completely disappear and then come back. Like either something was standing in front of him or there was some sort of disconnect with it.
And he was getting briefly sucked into the astral plane.
You never know. I don't know.
Yep.
So that was kind of weird. So then Aaron started feeling sick and he just wanted to step out. So then Zach and Nick go into the room and they obviously again start provoking the spirits. And all of a sudden, so you can see in the camera both Nick and Zach with their stick figures. And as they're provoking, asking questions, you see all of a sudden this blue dot in the camera appear behind Zach. And every time he talks about like a cross or God or
of course
like religious something, the dot gets super angry and it starts shaking. And then at one point just like essentially sucks into Zach. And it's gone.
He's possessed. You guys.
I mean,
breaking
he gets
news.
Possessed so many times during the show.
Zach Baggins is a demon.
Practically.
Just saying.
He's been possessed so many times. He needs to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, quit it.
Seriously. So they had that, and then they were outside, then back in Nerve Center discussing everything that had happened, and they didn't have any of the audio on because they had just one camera in the hallway of the living room close to the stairs that lead upstairs. And that was the only thing recording like actual audio. And they played it back and they heard a big bang come up from upstairs. And since they didn't hear it in real time, they weren't able to go up and investigate to see what actually happened.
What a missed opportunity.
Right? So they're not sure what created the sound, what it was, if anything fell or whatnot. And yeah.
Wow.
So those are all the...
That's intense.
Scary things that happen.
I want to watch that episode now.
It's such a good
Xbox
episode.
Kinect is an interesting tie-in for them. That's pretty cool.
Well, it wasn't like the actual Xbox. So they used the software of the Kinect camera.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, they didn't actually walk around with like a literal Xbox Kinect. Like,
yeah.
But that's cool. That's very interesting.
So there it is. scary things.
Scary stuff.
I love to go there, but
I just want to know what happened
there.
to Roland, if he's still
I
alive.
know.
I just want to talk to him.
I just want to know your story.
That's all I want for my birthday.
Give it to me, please.
Best birthday breath than ever.
Best birthday breath than ever.
It's my favorite.
It's so good. Fuck. Oh, God. Shit.
Guys,
so
if you've ever used a Ouija board, if you know someone who's been possessed, if you have anything remotely scary that's ever happened to you in your life,
let us know.
Send it in.
nightmarenation19@gmail.com, please.
Write your story and we'll feature it on the podcast.
Hell yeah, we will.
And make sure to check out our Facebook page and Instagram,
No, that's Instagram.
Nope. Nightmare_nation19.
That's Facebook.
It's Facebook. Instagram is nightmare.nation19.
That's Instagram.
Is that what I said?
Yep.
Okay, I thought
I'm
I
just
said it
reiterating.
backwards. Okay, cool. I was like, wait, I feel like I said that backwards. We post stuff with
we post things on the social media. We post all sorts of cool things. Mm-hmm. Pictures from hauntings, some scary stories, some movie clips, all sorts of weird things.
Great. So if you like that shit, follow us. Let us know. Rate, review, subscribe. Send in your stories.
Everything.
And if you have any suggestions on locations you'd like to see covered, let us know.
Let us know. We want to know.
We want to know.
Yep.
All right.
All right, friends. You know what to do.
And you know what not to do.
That's what I meant to say.
Yep. You both know. We just told you what you should do. And now what you shouldn't do is use a Ouija board.
Don't use Ouija boards. Don't be dumb.
Don't get possessed by a demon.
Don't do satanic rituals.
And don't do a freaking at-home DIY exorcism.
Yeah, don't do that. That's
crying
just
out loud.
That's just dumb.
Don't make me tell you again.
Don't be stupid.
Stop.
Seriously.
All right.
Okay.
Until next time.
Bye, friends.
Bye.